Okay, question number 1 of the introduction. On Friday, Devin, Carl, and Carla painted masks for an art project. Devin painted 2/3 of his mask, and Carla painted 3/4 of his mask. Okay, who painted the greater fraction of his mask? Okay, so I need to go ahead and box in my question. It says, who painted a greater fraction of his mask? So we're going to look at, so Carl did 3/4 and Devin did 2/3. So what we're going to do is compare 2/3 and 3/4. So I have 2/3 and 3/4. I'll cross multiply. 2 times 4 is 8. And 3 times 3 is 9. So it looks like 3/4 is a larger fraction. So that means Carl painted more of his mask. Carl did. Okay. Second part. Write a comparison number sentence that shows your answer. So it would be 2/3 is less than 3/4. Okay, and the next part, draw a model to justify your answer. So whenever I draw models, I like to draw them like this. I like kind of my strip diagram type model. I'll draw a rectangle and I'm going to separate it. So I'll go ahead and model my 2/3. So I'm going to separate that into thirds, and then I'm going to separate the bottom one into fourths. Okay, so we'll go ahead. I'm going to shade in 2/3. Okay, then I'll shade in 3/4. And you can see that the 3/4 is larger than the 2/3. Question number 2. Shonda and Jacob each had a large candy bar divided into 12 equal pieces. Shonda ate 1/2 of her candy bar. Jacob ate 5/12 of his candy bar. Write a number sentence that shows the relationship between the amount of candy Shonda ate and the amount that Jacob ate. So, Shonda, she ate 1/2 of her candy bar. And Jacob ate 5/12 of the candy bar. And if I want to go ahead and talk about the relationship, I can just figure out which is the larger fraction. And what I'll do is I know 1/2 is equivalent to 1/2, and 5/12 is going to be less than 1/2 because 5 is less than 1/2 of 12. So that means that 1/2 is greater than 5/12. Question number 3. Simone follows the directions on a bottle of window cleaner. She mixes 2/3 cups cleaner with 5/8 cup water. Does Simone use more water or more cleaner in this mixture? So on this problem right here, I basically got to compare 2/3 to 5/8. So I have 2/3 and 5/8. Okay, whenever I'm comparing, the easiest way to do it is cross multiply. And 8 times 2 is 16. And 3 times 5 is 15. So that means that 2/3 is a larger fraction. And I forgot to box in my question. It says, does Simone use more water or more cleaner mixture? So my answer's got to be, is either water or cleaner. And it looks like the 2/3 cup is talking about the cleaner, and the 5/8 cup is talking about the water. So she uses more cleaner mixture. Okay, second part. Write a number sentence that shows the relationship between these two fractions. So it's 2/3 is greater than 5/8. Question number 4. Chef Elzar prepares fudge pie and cheesecake for a party. The shaded parts of the model shows the amount of each dessert eaten by the party guest. Name the fractions represented by the shaded areas. So the important thing I gotta do is I need to name the fractions that are represented by each one of these. And whenever I'm talking about fractions, if I'm trying to identify a fraction, it's going to be ask over total. Ask over total. And so the ask part is the part that's shaded. And on the cheesecake, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts are shaded. So that's going to be 5 is my numerator. And my denominator is going to be 5 plus 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 5/10. Okay, on my fudge pie, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are shaded. So that means 6 pieces are eaten. And there are 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so that the fudge pie looks like 6/12 was eaten, and the cheesecake 5/10 was eaten. Okay, the next part we're going to talk about is, I'm going to box this in, got a question. It says, can the two fractions be easily compared? I'm going to go ahead and say yes. Yes, they can. Okay, and they can both be easily compared because they're both equal to a half. Equal to 1/2. So that's an easy comparison. So that means that the guest ate half the cheesecake and half the fudge pie. But on the other hand, if you look at the models, the amount eaten wouldn't necessarily be the same, because you can see the fudge pie is smaller than cheesecake, so you may have some issues there, but the answer for this is going to be yes. Question number 5. Jackson wants to build a tree fort. At the lumber yard, he looks at 1/4 inch thick plywood and 3/8 inch thick plywood. Draw a picture to represent the thickness of the two pieces of plywood. So this is what we have to do. We have to draw a picture. And one is 3/8 of an inch, another is 1/4 of an inch. Okay, when I like to do models, I always like to do strip diagrams. They seem like the easiest to me. And the longer you can make your strip diagram, the more accurate I think it's going to be. So I'm going to draw this as long as I can draw it right here. Draw a long rectangle. And since I'm comparing two things, I'm just going to split my rectangle in half. It's always important to make sure your model is the same size. I'm looking at my denominators. On one is a 4, another is an 8. They're both even numbers. So I'm going to separate my strip diagram right in half. Okay, and then to get 4, so I'll separate that in half. Separate that in half also. And then on my bottom one, I'm going to go and separate into 8ths. So I separate each one of my 4s in half. Okay, so the first one I'm going to model is I'm going to model my 1/4. I'll model that in red. And the whole strip diagram is going to represent an inch. So that's 1/4 of an inch. And I'll do my 3/8. That's 1, 2, 3, 3/8 in blue. And it looks like my 3/8 is going to be larger than the 1/4 by 1/8 there. One of those little dots right there, 1/8. Okay, so if Jackson wants the tree fort to be sturdy, which thickness should he buy? So I'm going to box that in. And I'm going to say he's going to buy the 3/8 because it's thicker. Okay, and then we're going to write a number sentence to justify that. And it's going to be that 1/4 is less than 3/8. So 1/4 is less than 3/8. Okay, now we're going to start on question number 1 of the guided practice. Okay, and it says, Liz and Kara each bought 12 pieces of candy. Liz ate 3/4 of her candy, and Kara ate less candy than Liz. Which fraction names a part that Kara could have eaten? So we're going to box that question in. It says, which fraction names a part that Kara could have eaten? Okay, and we're going to pick out some important information here. Liz ate 3/4, and Kara ate less candy than that. So we need a fraction that's smaller than 3/4. So first thing we could do, we go ahead and figure out how many pieces of candy she ate. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and regroup my 12 pieces of candy. I'm going to put them into fourths. And if she ate 3/4 of them, that's 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. So it looks like she ate 9 pieces of candy. I'm going to write that up here. Keep that so. And that is Liz ate that. Liz ate 9 pieces of candy. So we'll look at a couple things here. First off, look at answer choice A. Answer choice A, if I took 3/4 and I multiplied the numerator and denominator by 2, it would be 3 times 2 is 6, 4 times 2 is 8. So that means that answer choice A would be equal to 3/4. So I think they might have put that there to confuse you or kind of trick you, because a lot of times on these questions they're asking us fractions that are equivalent. But this one is actually, we're looking for one that's less than 3/4. So we can eliminate that answer choice. Okay, I'm going to look at answer choice C for a minute, 5/6. And 5/6 I'm going to say I think is going to be a larger fraction. I'm going to say it's a larger fraction because it's only 1/6 away from being a whole, and on 3/4 is 1/4 away from being a whole. So if you're only 1/6 away from being a whole, that's really close. That's really close to being a whole. Or if I was to break each one of these into, put these into 6 equal groups, and 5 of them would tell us how many pieces of candy that is. And 1/6 of them would be, it's going to end up being 10 pieces. So that's more than what Liz ate. And I'll go ahead and model that for you real quick. It won't take that long. Let's go ahead. So if I was to put these into 6 groups, okay, if I was to regroup to make actual 6 groups, that'd be 1 group, 2 groups, 3 groups, 4 groups, 5, and 6 groups. So if she ate 5/6 of them, that would be this group, this group, this group, this group, and that group. That's 5 of them. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pieces of candy. So we can eliminate 5/6. Look at answer choice D. And if we look at answer choice D, 10/12. 10/12 is equivalent to 5/6, but also that means that she ate 10 pieces of candy because there's 12 total. So we can eliminate that answer choice. So now that leaves us with 2/3, and we're going to put a question mark there. And probably the best thing to do, well, we'll do it 2 different ways. We'll go ahead and do our groups. We'll regroup it. So we're going to put it to 3 equal groups. So if I was going to put it in 3 equal groups, that's going to be 1 group, 2, and 3 groups. So I got 3 equal groups there, and 2/3 of it is going to be that group right there and that group right there, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces of candy. So that means that Kara would have ate 8 pieces of her candy. If that's one of the possible answers. Or I can also cross multiply 3/4 and 2/3. 4 times 2 is 8. 3 times 3 is 9. So that means that 2/3 is less than 3/4. So that's our correct answer choice. Okay, question number 2. Amy and Lynn compared recipes for chocolate chip cookies. Amy's recipe calls for 5/8 cup sugar, while Lynn's recipe called for 2/3 cup sugar. Which number sentence is true about the amount of sugar used in the recipe? So we're going to box in this question. So basically we need to check our answer choices and see which one is a true statement. So we're going to look at, so Lynn had 2/3 cup, Amy had 5/8 cup. And it's really neat here, they got a picture for us. So right there, and it's barked into fourths and thirds right there. So I can go ahead and put Lynn's on there. Lynn's right there is, just label it. That's Lynn's right there, is 2/3. And eighths right there. It shows fourths, but also has marks in between there, and those look like eighths to me. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 equal pieces there. So 5/8 would be, that's 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8. 5/8 is this one right here. So 5/8, and that is Amy's. Amy's right there. And if you're looking at it, it looks like Amy's is just a little bit shorter than what Lynn's is right there. It's just a little bit short. It's almost equal, but it's not equal. So right here where they're saying they're both equal, I can eliminate that one right there. And we'll look at it. So the first one, answer choice there, says Amy's recipe is less than Lynn's recipe. And that, I think that's a true statement. That sounds true to me. We'll check all the other ones just to make sure. The next one says Amy's recipe is greater than Lynn's recipe. That's false. Okay, we already said this one is false. And if we're saying F is true, it is there, so that would be a false statement too. So when we go with this, Amy's recipe is less than Lynn's. Or we could also just cross multiply. I always like to cross multiply. 5/8, 2/3. So cross multiply, 3 times 5 is 18. No, 3 times 5 is not 18. 3 times 5 is 15. And 8 times 2 is 16. So that means my 2/3 is my larger fraction. And that's what we said. Okay, question number 3. Roderick drew a model below to help compare two fractions. Which fraction comparison is not correct? So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on that just a little bit so we can just kind of work on just the bottom part. We really don't need the models. I can find the model that represents the same thing as that, but really all it's asking us is to figure out which fraction comparison is not a correct comparison. Okay, so we're going to box in our question right there. And we're looking for the one that is not a correct comparison. So we'll go ahead and try to figure out what they're doing on each one of these. So on answer choice A, it looks like they're multiplying the numerator and denominator by 6, because 2 times 6 is 12, and 3 times 6 is 18. So that is a true statement. That's a good comparison. Okay, on the next one, it looks like they're probably multiplying by 3, multiplying the numerator and denominator by 3, because 4 times 3 is 12, and 6 times 3 is 18. So that's a good comparison too. That's true. Okay, we look at the next one here, answer choice C. And on the numerator there, to get from 3 to 12, you'd have to multiply it by 4 times 4. So 3 times 4 is 12, but 4 times 4 is not 12, or is not 18. It is 16. So this one looks like the one that's not a good comparison. I'm going to put a false right there. And we'll check the last one just to be sure. Okay, on the last one, it looks like they're probably multiplying the numerator and denominator by 2. So 6 times 2 is 12, and 9 times 2 is 18. So that's a true statement too. So that means the one that is not a good comparison would be answer choice C. Okay, now the next one here says use a fraction bar to answer question 4 and 5. Okay, question number 4. Juanita answered 10 out of 12 questions correctly on her math test. Her brother, George, answered 7/10 correctly on his math test. Which is a correct statement? Okay, so we need to go ahead and box the question in. So which is a correct statement? So let's go ahead and 10 out of 12 questions. So 12ths, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we have her brother right there, which is 7/10. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So to me it looks like the 10/12 is going to be larger than the 7/10. So we'll go ahead and it looks like our first answer choice, that's a true statement right there. And the next one is saying that 7/10, answer choice G, 7/10 is greater than 10/12, and we looked at it, 7/10 is not greater than 10/12, so that's a false statement. Okay, answer choice H, 10/12 is equal to 7/10. We see that they're not equal, that the 10/12 is larger, so that's a false statement. And the last one, 10/12 is less than 7/10, and that's a false statement also. So our true statement is answer choice F. Question number 5. Which comparison is not supported by the fraction bars? So the question that is. And we'll go ahead and number answer choice A. We have 4/5. That's 1, 2, 3, 4/5, and is less than 11/12. And 11/12 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it does look like that is a true statement. Okay, answer choice B. 3/9 is greater than 2/10. So look at the ninths. That's 1, 2, 3/9, and is greater than 2/10. And 2/10, that's a true statement. That is supported by our fraction bar there. Okay, the next one. Let me clear off here some so we can. So the next one says that 6/9 is equal to 8/12. So we'll look at our ninths. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ninths. Then we're looking for 8/12. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And if we look at that, that does look like they are equivalent right there, because it looks like they're lining right up right there. So I'm going to say that's a true statement. And we look at the last one. 1/5 is greater than 2/9. 1/5 is greater than 2/9. So I got 1/5 right here, and then I have my 2/9 right there. And it looks like the 2/9 is a little bit larger than my 1/5, so that's going to be the one that I think is false. And we can just double check it by cross multiplying. 5 times 2 is 10. Then 1 times 9 is 9. So yeah, no, that is the one that is false.